my Troublesomes, it's Miracle and welcome back to Mind of a Miracle. I'm so happy you guys decided to join me today, and we're gonna do what we do best out here in these streets, and that's mind other people's business. But today's gonna be a tad bit different. I want to make sure that I let you guys know that the subject matter at hand today is very heavy. So this is a trigger warning. So the first people that we are going to be discussing today has everything to do with Jessi Smiles along with Curtis Lepore. If you guys were unaware of their situation, about 6 years ago, they were in a relationship. It is unspecified as to why they decided to end their relationship, but in any case, they decided on breaking up. After the breakup, Jessi Smiles was involved in some sort of accident while filming a Vine video. She ended up hitting her head on a chair, so she had some sort of concussion. In the midst of her getting this concussion, she ended up contacting Curtis, and she ended up staying with Curtis for him to be able to look after her. She ended up falling asleep in his household, and that is where the assault took place. Shortly thereafter, on September 18, 2013, Curtis was actually arrested for the crime. After making several court appearances, Curtis ended up taking a plea bargain. He admitted to assault as opposed to the harsher criminal offense of non-consensual intimacy. So why are we talking about this now?
The reason why we're talking about this now is because Curtis Lepore actually took to Twitter to discuss what happened that night 6 years ago. In her anger, because she felt as if Curtis did not tell the story correctly, Jessi Smiles also ends up releasing a response. I am about to read their tweets, so please, if this could potentially trigger you, I would advise that you click off of this video. Please also note that I just read this with emotion. Don't think that I'm trying to make light of their situation. Curtis's tweet reads as follows: "To all. This statement is by no means an attempt to discredit or discard anyone's feelings, but merely to tell my side. For too long, there has been one narrative to a very complicated and unfortunate situation. It is important that I clear the air for myself, my family, and my friends and my fans. Sexual assault, abuse, and/or harassment is something that unfortunately plagues our society and should never be tolerated. It is quite literally one of, if not the most degrading, disgusting, and violating actions one human being can do to another. Fortunately, we are living in a time where there are many positive conversations taking place about a human being's right to choose what they do with their body. In 2013, I entered a very public relationship. We started dating. We cared for each other. We made Vine videos together. We were on the internet as a couple, and that was real life too. This was a real relationship that did involve consensual sex on many occasions. Our relationship continued over the next month. The week before the incident, my former partner was staying with me at my apartment while visiting from Miami, Florida. During that week, the conversation of the two of us waking each other up with sex came up on 2 separate occasions. It was stated that this would be a nice way to wake each other up by both of us. A fellow creator and mutual friend of both of ours would later confirm with me that my former partner told him that these conversations took place. Later, this mutual friend would verify this with the district attorney who handled the case. The following week, we would break up, yet still spoke daily while she was in Los Angeles. Several days after the breakup, we were in contact as we had been, and while she was filming a video for social media, she had injured herself and reached out to me shortly after. When I spoke with her, I immediately asked if she was okay and offered to take her to the hospital. She refused and stated she wanted to see me and asked me to pick her up, so I did. Upon picking her up, she ran up to me enthusiastically and hugged me. Once in the car, she immediately proceeded to make physical, sexual advancements, of which I reciprocated. This took place on the drive back to my apartment. Once in the apartment, we spoke briefly. I went into the bathroom for several minutes, and she laid down on the bed. Once I came out of the bathroom, I got into bed with her and made sexual advancements, and due to her reciprocated actions, I assumed she was lying there with her eyes closed waiting for me to join, but not asleep. Although there were physical reciprocated actions by both of us, there was never any verbal consent. I thought this action was okay due to the conversations that had taken place the previous week, the history of frequent consensual sex that had taken place as recently as days before this incident, and the physical sexual advancements from the moment I picked her up and throughout the car ride back to my apartment. Almost immediately after I began, she opened her eyes. She jumped up and I did as well without any hesitation. She ran to the bathroom and stated that I had raped her. I immediately felt confused and mortified. I cared for this person deeply and would have never done anything intentionally to harm her. Shortly after the incident, I took her back to her friend's house and was extremely apologetic. That night, I learned that regardless of any sexual history, relationship status, physical sexual advancements, or any previous conversation which gave consent, if explicit verbal consent is not provided prior to any sexual act by both parties, then no sexual activity should take place. 2 weeks after this incident, I received a phone call from her. I was unaware this call was being monitored and recorded by the police. I was told by her that she needed closure and needed to move on with her life, and that she needed me to admit what I did was wrong. I was extremely conflicted at the time of this call, and I felt I was being manipulated into admitting guilt. She kept saying that I knew what I did, so to please just admit it so she could move on. Eventually, I did admit that I was wrong. I wanted more than anything for there to be closure and for this to be done. I never wanted to hurt anyone. 1 week after this call, I was arrested and released on bail. Shortly after my arrest, I had to decide between going to trial and defending myself or to take a plea deal. In order to make an informed decision, I reached out to close mutual friends and discovered that my former partner was sharing intimate details of a relationship that would support my side of the story. Our mutual friends were all fellow creators or people within the entertainment industry. These people did not want to be associated with this very sensitive situation publicly. So, with no one willing to testify in a trial, the recorded phone call, and seeing the pain being caused to everyone involved, I felt that the best option was to accept the deal. 1 year later, after completing weekly therapy appointments and 24 hours of community service, my charge was reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor assault, and the case was closed. I think it is worth noting that my former partner agreed to this plea deal for a lesser charge. My intention from this moment was to move on with my life, and hopefully everyone involved could do the same. I was legally not allowed to speak about this for 2 years after the case was closed. I began to get aggressively harassed and threatened online daily. I was referred to as a rapist and often told to kill myself as jail was too good for me. I know that I am a public figure, and with that comes high expectations, but I am a human being, and the predominant emotion I felt in response to this was anger. Unfortunately, this did not lead to the best public responses by me, and for that I am sorry. I thought that if I continued to do what I love and keep moving forward, things would get better, and when the time was right, I would tell my side. As the narrative of the situation became more and more one-sided, I retreated, and when I could have said something, I chose to stay quiet as I was afraid to speak and or do anything. Sexual assault, abuse, or harassment is awful and disgusting. It should not be tolerated, but neither should one narrative in certain situations. I hope this statement can positively add to the conversation of everyone's right to choose what they do with their body. My passion is to create content. I aspire to inspire, and as long as I can create something that other people enjoy, I will continue to do that. Curtis Lepore.
Jessi Smiles' response reads,
If you had just spoken your truth without lying about that night, there would be no response for me to make. I'm not here to tell you you can't speak, but what I am not going to do is sit back and allow you to speak the lies you've convinced yourself of and belittle me again just like you did when everything became public. Here's the truth. I have never publicly talked about the specifics of what happened that night. Why you felt that was necessary to prove your innocence is bizarre, but since I remember it vividly and there are actual witnesses to back my side up, allow me to rip this band-aid off and say what actually happened. From a person who has never changed her story. From a person who's freaking shaking because you felt it was appropriate to put me in this position where I'd have to respond. Let me tell people what really happened. Curtis and I dated. I broke up with him about a month after and he didn't take it well. He was rocking back and forth telling me to please not go, that he loved me. I left my stuff at his house and had my manager come and get it because I was genuinely scared. I don't know why, but something made me feel like he would do something to himself or me. I told my mom and manager this that day. We did not speak daily after this, as he is stating. The only reason we became friends again is because he called my mom, who he barely knew, and he would tell her how much he missed me, cry to her, just ridiculous stuff. So to get him off of her back, we became friends again. I knew it was way too soon and I told him this, but we became friends again regardless. One day I hit my head when I was vining and started feeling dizzy. I tweeted about it. A lot of you remember. Curtis and I were broken up at that time, but he saw the tweets and he became concerned. I was alone in LA, so he texted me and offered to come and get me from my friend's house. I said, no, I'm okay, really. He insisted. I refused. He replied, I'm coming over, Jessi. You're not okay. I know your friend's address, since he had picked up a friend from there before. He even called my mom on the way to get me to let her know he was going to check up on me. He picked me up. I was so loopy and dizzy from hitting my head that he became concerned and spoke with the friend I had been staying with. She was out of town. He told her that I wasn't doing well. This friend later offered to testify in court for me, but it wasn't needed since they had a confession. He knew I wasn't myself. He knew I wasn't feeling well. On the way to his house, I asked him if he had bought the couch for his new house yet. He said no and asked why I was asking. And I said I wanted to sleep on it, so that he knew I was not interested in sleeping next to him. He told me, you shouldn't be sleeping anyway with a concussion. We got to his house. I was so tired, so I made a beeline for his bed. He had a bunch of stuff on it, so I pushed it to the side and jumped on. I started closing my eyes, but when I did, I started feeling so dizzy. I told him I feel so sick, and he was comforting me. Those were the last words I said to him, an exact quote before I woke up to him having sex with me. Unprotected, unprovoked, full-on sex with a person he was supposed to be looking out for, a person who was asleep and sick, a person that didn't have a chance to say no. I have never in my life told Curtis Lepore that I wanted him to wake me up during sex. The only thing we ever spoke about in regards to that subject were things I did with my ex that were all planned and consensual and did not involve actual sex. How he takes that one story about my ex and interpret it as something I wanted him to do to me is truly sickening. I'm not surprised though. Him and his lawyer tried to justify what he did by showing the court that I've talked about sexual things in the past online, as if that's free invitation to do as you wish with my body. Curtis, I did not pressure you on that recorded phone call with the police. I said, I need closure. You need to tell me what you did to me. Did you know I was asleep? You said yes. I asked, did you take my clothes off while I was asleep? You said yes. I asked, do you know that you raped me? And you said yes. What innocent man on one single 10-minute phone call can be pressured into saying they raped someone? Were you also pressured in confessing what you did to Alex James? Was your mom pressured into telling Rolling Stone that what you did was lovingly waking me up? P.S. I didn't agree with a plea deal. I had no control since it was the state of California against you, not me against you. Surprised you don't know that. I don't know what you had to tell yourself over the years to justify what you did, but don't you dare, after doing what you did, put false stuff out about that night, because that night is the reason I still can't have sex when I'm feeling tired, why I distrust men and cried after sex for years. So no, you don't get to just decide what happened. The truth has consequences, and the life that I've endured after that night is proof of what that truth was. I am disgusted at how you justify it all in your head. I'm disgusted that you don't see that night for what it was. I'm disgusted that I have to relive this publicly again. I'm so freaking disgusted and I'm so freaking tired.
Keemstar has taken to Twitter to discuss this situation. Keemstar is trying to get those files so that he can listen to it and give the information to his audience so that they may determine amongst them if Jessi was in fact not telling the truth about the situation at hand, or if Curtis actually did do that devious deed against her.
Keemstar's tweet reads, "You, at Jessi Smiles, and Curtis put out statements recently on what happened. Is there any way for the public to hear the recorded call with Curtis? You both have different versions of how that call went down. I want to know if he was confused about consent or if he actually..."
This sort of situation is causing a lot of issues because of Keemstar's need to insert himself in this situation, and a lot of his fans have a lot to say. Many of them have taken to harassing a lot of people who are taking the side of Jessi and vice versa. Keemstar had released a tweet. I'm going to insert that tweet and read it to you guys exactly so you have that necessary information.
Keemstar says, "Deleting all my tweets on this Jessi and Curtis thing in 15 minutes. Want my timeline clear of this heavy shit. I just don't want them manipulating it, saying that I'm deleting it because I'm wrong or something like that. So, FYI.
Next, we are going to briefly go over what exactly happened between Nick and Stephanie Sue. Recently, Stephanie ended up releasing a video saying, "Why am I afraid of Nick?" She goes on to explain how recently she and Nick decided to forge some sort of friendship. In this video, she ends up releasing the necessary information to know how her and Nick's relationship had initially started. Nick ended up reaching out to her to talk about the situation what happened with Veronica Wang and Shukbang. Stephanie did not want to articulate this sort of thing, and as it were, she kept on ghosting Nick. And while she had decided at the time that she wasn't going to collab with him, she did say, "Hey, we can go ahead and meet up and we can have a conversation." And then she ended up bringing some goodies to give to Nick to let him know that she was essentially interested in keeping some sort of friendly relationship. She wasn't doing that with any sort of ill intent. She then articulates how she gets very close to him and how they end up building on some sort of friendship, to the point where she actually feels comfortable with sharing her issue with unfortunate physical assault done to her in a non-consensual sense. In this non-consensual situation, she tells Nick how this actually happened within her household, why in a lot of cases she felt uncomfortable with other people coming within her space, and she has taken it upon herself to have security cameras outside of her home, also within her home. As it were, a TV opportunity ended up being presented to both Nick and Stephanie. Nick reached out to Stephanie to ask her if she took that opportunity, to which Stephanie articulated that she did not. Nick also ended up saying that he did not accept that opportunity and said it had to do with his paranoia, and he was very happy to know that he was not the only one who was paranoid about that situation, to which Stephanie ends up saying, "Oh my goodness, I felt so at peace knowing that I was not the only one who felt uncomfortable with allowing somebody in their household." That was just a confirmation for Stephanie that, hey, I could trust this person here. Stephanie then goes into excruciating detail as far as what the dynamic was for their collaboration. The first filming went fine. The next filming is where the issues started to come up, where Stephanie ends up accusing Nick of bullying her within that video. Stephanie claims to have articulated to Nick that she was not comfortable with speaking about Veronica on camera. She told whatever she told him in confidence. That matter, she also shares with him that what happened between her and Veronica was nothing serious. It had everything to do with the minor differences that they have in personalities, and how she was just frustrated with Veronica for ghosting her so that she can go ahead and dye her hair pink. She did not have anything to say about the Veronica Wang and Shukbang situation, so as it stands right now, she did not want to get involved with that. However, Nick decided to keep pressuring her within that video. On occasion of this alleged bullying was seen where he keeps talking about her hair extensions and how he keeps pulling on them and he doesn't want them to fall out. Another occasion is where he says, hey, you might come around and change your mind, so that's why we're not going to talk about the situation at hand. Stephanie also articulates that she does not have the raw footage of the video, so she cannot show you guys where these occasions ended up happening, but as it is, there are some of those situations that are shown apparently in the main video, where Nick decides to throw shade at Stephanie and decides to keep picking with her. When talking about her discomfort, she also includes that she had a conversation with her father in Korean, and she was trying to make herself sound as upset as possible. Her father ended up picking up that something was wrong, and then when she articulates that to the other people that she's collaborating with, Nick in turn says, "We're tired too, Stephanie," and then proceeds to make her feel as if she was put in a position where she could not say no. Stephanie says that she found herself in extreme distress by the time the end of that video was finished. She ends up going home, she confides in her fiance, and then she ends up releasing the security footage to show that she did have her breakdown. They were supposed to film together to finish up the collaboration the following morning. As it were, Stephanie took it upon herself not to reach out. She ends up reaching out to the other party involved and not to contact Nick. Nick had directly messaged her about the situation, and she had admitted to ignoring him for 5 hours.
I'm just gonna go through just the whole thread of text messages. And so I texted them at 3:29 p.m. and I said, "Hey guys, sorry I've been in and out of sleep all afternoon after staying up late after getting back. I don't think I'll be able to film any collabs today. I'm feeling really sick and I realized I had a few sponsors due before year end that are really time sensitive. I'm so sorry, I hope you guys understand, but I'm really happy that we knocked some out yesterday." And I put my phone down, I put it on silent, and these are the next messages I got. "You just now realized? Stephanie, I have been sitting here for 5 hours. When you were going in and out of sleep, you should have picked up the phone and given me a call, not leave me hanging. You didn't like it when Veronica did that to you. So no, I'm sorry, I do not understand." I texted him back, "I am so sorry for making you feel that way. I sincerely apologize. I was so drained and slightly out of it this morning, and I'm so upset I didn't call you back earlier because I would never want you to feel like I don't respect your time. Again, I'm truly sorry. And out of respect for our developing friendship, I do want to be transparent and let you know I was uncomfortable with yesterday's video. I'm so sorry if I let you think or miscommunicated in any way that I wanted to talk about Veronica, but I truly did not. I mentioned that I wouldn't mind addressing you and me as it pertains to Shookbug, that neither of us had any hard feelings towards each other after what happened. And I did give you my perspective on what happened when we hung out, and I felt as if it was misrepresented in the video. I've mentioned to you many times that although Veronica and I aren't friends, and I am hurt or annoyed by some things that happened between us, I have absolutely no ill will towards her, and I feel some compassion for her situation since I've gotten to know her prior. Again, I understand this is your video, and I respect your feelings about the situation, but this is how I feel. Again, I am sincerely so sorry for not getting back to you in time this morning, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay, and I am so sorry for this morning." He texted me back, "Then why did you tell me at your house that you wanted to address it on my channel? Also, why are you texting this to Zach? I messaged you privately." And I responded, "I want to address the issue here since all three of us were in the video, and I also owe Zach an apology for this morning and not keeping him updated on the schedule. I'm so sorry for any inconveniences I've caused. Again, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so sorry if I made you feel that way. I wanted to let you know because I didn't know that there was a gap of miscommunication and understanding between us till the middle of that video we were filming. I was okay with talking about Shookbug as it pertains to just you and me. Again, I apologize for any misunderstanding there could have been. I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay, and I'm so sorry again for this morning as well." He responded with, "You already talked to Zach this morning, but ignored me for 5 hours after that. Don't play games." I texted it back and I said, "Again, I'm so sorry if there was any miscommunication and if I made you feel that way. I wanted to take this time to clarify miscommunication about the video because I didn't know there was a gap in understanding till the middle of filming the video. And to apologize for this morning. I truly am so sorry. I know that I impacted your schedule today and I'm so sorry about that." He said, "Awesome. So which day would you like to reschedule for?" And I responded, "I know that you're in LA for only a couple more days and have a lot scheduled and I'm so sorry for today. Sorry. I do have to get back to you since I do have approaching deadlines and I know my fiance already had things planned for me and the doggos for the holidays. Again, I'm so sorry for today and I hope you're able to enjoy the rest of your day." And he responded with, "Literally at any point in this conversation, you could have resumed with our videos planned for tonight. Please talk to me. Zach told me he wants to be left out. I reached out 6 times already. Please talk to me there." The text messages that he sent, "Please give me a call. I got your group message, but it would be nice to talk to you here. Can you give me a call, please? I haven't heard from you personally since yesterday, and I feel we need to chat. You only message things to the group chat, but not to me here. This is going to be my last time reaching out for the evening. I'm feeling hurt. Please talk to me, not through Zach.
After this text message conversation between Nick and Stephanie, it also seems that Nick decided to share the situation with other mukbangers, and they decided to bully Stephanie by saying over and over again, I've been in and out of sleep, and making light of the traumatic experience that she underwent.
A lot of the people that he tagged are people that he knew that I would say, oh my god, I've watched her since high school, or oh, I love her, you know, I did a collab with her. And these are people that I respected. I don't want to believe that they know the full story of what he's done. I also felt scared because now it felt like if I say something, it's not just going up against Nick, but look at all the friends he has. You know, who do I have? And I just felt like I couldn't say anything because it would be going up against all of these people.
I was telling them a story about someone who, something happened, someone did something to me, and there was just a lot that broke my spirits. Or I'm gonna get what I want. And I was telling them the story, and one of the inside joke from that story was in and out of sleep. And you don't understand, but then I told a few other YouTubers, I tagged them on Instagram, as well as my friends, and they all know. I was like, they know the story, and the major thing that they take away from that was the in and out of sleep. In and out of sleep.
I've just been in and out of sleep, and I don't know what's going on, but you know, I got things to do. I got things to do. Have you been in and out of sleep?
I'm in and out of sleep. Oh my gosh. In and out of sleep right now.
They're like, what the that is the most obnoxious, bizarre thing they've ever heard. Like, what the
Stephanie had taken it upon herself to close out that video by stating that she is happy that she has taken it upon herself to take her power back to be able to speak about the situation at hand. Interestingly enough, we do not get Nick's take on this, but we get somebody else's take. And that mystery individual is Trisha Paytas. If you guys were unaware, earlier this year, around May or so, Nick and Trisha Paytas had their own falling out of sorts. Nick publicly said to everyone that Trisha Paytas had been ghosting him and how hurt he was about it, and Trisha was all up in arms and saying that she was a victim of sorts, but everybody kept hounding on her and telling her how much of a terrible person she was, and Nick was given accolades by other people for talking about the mistreatment that was granted to him by Trisha. Trisha has taken it upon herself to talk about the situation because she wants everyone who's going to watch the unreleased collaborative video between herself and Nick, if they see that hostility she has directed towards Stephanie, that she wanted everyone to know it has to do with the fact that Nick had shared with her that Stephanie said that she would never want to collaborate with Trisha because Trisha is too dramatic. She also articulates with people within that video that while she is not choosing sides, she clearly states that Nick is one of her friends and they're still moving towards building up their relationship. Trisha also shares with everyone that she finds it very manipulative of Stephanie to equate physical unconsensual assault to the situation that happened with Nick because it's going to drive her audience to think that Nick pushed himself onto her. In addition to that, Trisha also shares her perspective of how she interpreted Stephanie's video to be very deceitful and manipulative as far as that she can see, because it seems overly well thought out and overly edited, and her to think it's a genuine response video of complete and total fear. Nick has yet to publicly address this situation. However, he lets everyone know to be aware that soon he will be releasing a video on this matter. So I will be updating you guys with his commentary regarding this sort of situation. He did, however, release an Instagram story about his feelings towards this matter.
The people who came on with the stretcher and everything, and then we had to do a detour to Salt Lake City, so that's where I am now. I'm not going to get home until like 11 a.m. because I missed my connecting flight, and the next available flight for a seat is like 7 hours after that. So I'm not going to have any sleep. I'm not going to get home until, like I said, 11. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm probably going to take seats to show that this is 100% fabricated and a total hit job. And I can prove it to you. So don't worry. Don't freak out. This is the biggest blow I've ever had to me. But yeah, I do have a response. Just wait for it. Don't believe everything you see or hear, because there's always two sides to a story, and you should know that by now.
That post has since then been deleted, and as it stands right now, currently his Instagram has been made private. Opinion time, honey. Opinion time. I don't have the hype necessary to go over this. Let's talk about the situation that's going on with Jessi, Curtis, and Keemstar. As it stands right now, I'm not going to speak on the allegations regarding the non-consensual interaction between the two parties. However, I'm going to comment on Keemstar's actions regarding this matter. I do not think it is proper to add additional hype to somebody's alleged traumatic experience. That being said, if you wanted to get that information, I think it would have been advisable for you to do that research privately and make sure that you've done all that extensive research privately instead of articulating something as fact or fiction and telling your audience that you were having a very difficult time believing that somebody is a victim of trauma. On top of that, I can understand where you're coming from and as far as speculating whether or not this is a possibility, but to use the term that they were boyfriend and girlfriend and this should not have happened as your defense against this, I think that is completely asinine, and I think it's extremely disrespectful, and anyone with common sense could tell you that married couples and people in relationships can withdraw consent and they can completely be taken advantage of even though a relationship has been placed. I think Keemstar is talking from a very ignorant place. He is looking at it from the standpoint of where money is going to be involved, and unfortunately this is what happens. People have an opinion on these sort of platforms, and instead of understanding the ramifications of what they say and do, they decide to share their opinion without holding themselves accountable to how they may make people feel. I don't think he's handling the situation well at all. I don't want you guys to understand this sort of concept, and if Keemstar for whatever reason gets to see this video and wants him to understand this, when you guys look at a lake and you see that the water is settled, it's beautiful. Oftentimes that lake is crystal clear. But what happens when it starts to rain, guys? The bottom of that lake starts to become unsettled, and along with that, so do the outskirts of that lake, and then a lot of dirt and debris and chaos just starts to fill up that lake, and it becomes ugly and muddled and unclear. Regardless of whether or not you believe that Jessi is telling the truth about the situation or you feel uncomfortable about the decision that was made on that court case, why is it that you're taking it personally upon yourself to be the martyr and decide to spread that information to everyone? Because if in the case you are wrong, Keemstar, and Jessi is telling the truth, all you're doing is unsettling a lot of issues for her. Where her world was clean and clear and beautiful, you decided to rustle everything up and decide to create chaos in her life, and this matter does not particularly have anything to do with you. For Curtis, if Curtis was telling the truth and he was not involved with the situation and he pled guilty for the sake of helping himself out, kind of hard to dissuade any sort of yes or no, especially if you've been in this sort of relationship before, you are potentially causing more harm to his case as well. So Keemstar, if it has nothing to do with you, why are you talking about this? This is not just some run-of-the-mill situation where you're talking about somebody causing drama or calling somebody out. You're talking about sexual trauma, and that's not okay. Who told you that was okay? And then the fact of the matter is, if this is a real thing, did you take for a second to say, if this is a real thing and you are wrong about your assumption, do you not think about what you possibly put everybody through? Do you not think about what this is putting Jessi through? Do you not think about what this is putting Curtis through? For the sake of entertainment, for the sake of views, you're doing all this? Help me to understand. Help me. Why are you doing this? Because what you're doing, not only is it affecting these two people, because of the sake of your views and your entertainment and your money and kindness and joy and joyness, but you know what you're also doing? The people who are viewing this content, who've gone through this similar trauma, you're making them relive their own situation because you're triggering them. Understand the power of your position. It's okay to talk about it, but to call somebody out and to insinuate that people are lying, you're putting yourself in a very difficult situation, honey. But you know what, guys? If you feel the same way that I do, if you think that I am talking out of left field, let me know down below. But we're gonna move on to Stephanie, and we're gonna move on to Nikocado, and we're gonna move on to Trisha. First off, let's talk about the elephant in the room, okay? Why is Trisha, anybody who's coming for me and trying to say that I call Trisha an elephant, please get that out your head, because that's just saying I'm fat, okay? So listen, I don't have no business talking about any other person's weight, but we're talking about Trisha right now. So Trisha, at first I thought it was going to be admirable that she has taken upon it herself to disassociate herself from the situation, and then the fact that it lasted a whole 40 to 50 minutes for her to get that all out, that was a red flag to me, because I'm like, honey, getting paid for this. You're gonna pass that, okay? So, but then when she goes off and says that Stephanie is being manipulative, because you were taking this approach of saying that you're not getting involved. You had one thing to say, but then at the end you just completely circumvent that situation and say that Stephanie is being manipulative. What happened to you staying neutral? Then on top of that, I'm having some questions and concerns, because within her video, she also says that I had my holiday party, and my holiday party was for my close and dear friends and family. These are for the people that I feel like they end up holding me together. And you know what? I'm just gonna insert that clip where she says that there.
It's hard for me to speak on him as a person, because I consider us friends. I invited him to my holiday Christmas party, which was very, very exclusive, but not in that like bougie sense of exclusive, just in the sense of like, I really just wanted people I really, really loved there, because I get stressed at parties where like I feel like I'm not talking to everybody enough. So I wanted people that I loved and I knew to be there, that if I couldn't talk to everybody, they would be totally fine with it. And they were just there to support me and like love me and like, you know, me love them and all stuff like that. I just wanted a little get together of the year of all the people who have made my year special.
Then she later on doubles back and says, well, I'm still trying to develop my relationship with Nick, but he was invited to my party. And so, but I thought it was for your very close and personal friends and family.
Because we are similar in a lot of ways. Like I said, I can't say, I'm not trying to backpedal because he's in scandal. I can't say I know him as a person, as I think he would say he doesn't know me as a person. I get good vibes from him when I'm around him. He's 27, and I was telling him like at 27, like I was so caught up in drama and scandal and being defensive and being outspoken and stuff. So I get it.
So why is Nick included in your very close and personal friends and family, but you're saying that you don't have that dynamic to be friends with him? Help me to understand. So you're already set in your position right there. But to come out and say that somebody's being manipulated, and then you misconstrue what she said, so it just tells me that you did not watch her video properly, because nowhere in that video did Stephanie say, hey, Nick did anything to physically assault me, and I'm relating this situation to assault. No, she did not say that. Especially for you as a person, Trisha, for you to say at the video that you did not even acknowledge your own physical trauma. Why are you sitting here and backlashing the girl's words? And I could already tell that you were not coming from a sincere position, because you made it about you. The first thing you said, oh, when you see how the internet works, I see how the internet works, because when it was about me, everybody was jumping on the bandwagon of Nick, and it seems like everybody sides with the victim that says something first. And the same thing happened between Tati and James Charles and rada. Okay, And on top of that, you sit there and say, well, when it was me, nobody had anything to say, but when it has to do with Stephanie, everything all changes. It all changes. I can understand your frustration, but this is not the video for you to discuss that on. Because this video, literally, guys, it could have took 2 minutes. Hi, my name is Trisha. Stephanie said some stuff about me that I heard. I didn't actually get that information from her, but it made me uncomfortable. So right before we started filming it, I heard that information. It made me salty. So I just want you to know I have no involvement with this sort of situation. I want you guys to know I really feel sorry for them, but I'm going to stay neutral on this matter. I'm not involved with this. So please don't, redirect your anger at me or think that I'm a part of the bullying. Well, how long was that? Like 2 minutes? It took 2 minutes to say that? Why it take you 45 minutes, girl? So I could tell you, but the part, it wasn't even all that. It wasn't even the fact that this video took so long. It was the whole thing that you tried to say that Stephanie tried to relate the assault to Nick, and that's not what she did. because you didn't watch that video properly. She's not what she did. What she said was the reason why she had such a difficult time addressing the situation is because of the trauma that she faced in her assault. She did not say that Nick had the same qualities of a person who assaults somebody. No, she said that he was using very, very ill-advised tactics, very manipulative, very deceptive, very forceful, very vindictive type of activities to end up pushing her to do something she was not comfortable with. So in some terms, people would say that that is narcissistic behavior. Some people would say that is very aggressive sort of behavior, which time and time again, Nick has openly said that he is very, very alpha in his personality. And you can see based off of this sort of situation, Stephanie is very beta. She's very reserved and she's very inclined. And due to her trauma, she's very inclined to feeling a certain kind of way. She does not in any way, shape, or form blame Nick for her inability to be able to say something about the situation, because she even says that herself. A lot of people don't know this, but when you go through that sort of trauma, it does rob you of your voice a lot of times, and she's still growing through that, and she does not blame Nick for that. She does not. But what she says to herself, I will never put myself in this position again, so why couldn't you say no? And this is where she decides to take her voice back. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comment section down below what you think. Do you agree with Trisha's commentary? Do you think that Stephanie is exaggerating the situation? Let me know. I really want to have an actual conversation with you guys. As you can see, I got a little bit heated in this video. And I think that is because I'm not, I don't know. Anyway, if you want to hear more about this and my feelings towards it, just comment down below and I'll respond to you guys as quickly as I can. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay, I love you. Bye.